What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 2 of Park to Prem here with Nottingham Forest. Today we have our second ever game in a live com, and hopefully it's going to follow a very positive trend, because as you can see here, looking at the league table, we currently sit in 9th. Now, I did talk about last episode potentially coming back for the game against Derby County. In the end, there's just been so much going on that I wanted to come back a little sooner and talk to you all about it. You can see here in our most recent game, we have started to experiment a little bit, and yeah, so far, so good, I suppose. Yeah, I feel like we've got to grips with things early here. I've been delving into the transfer market ahead of January, so that come January the 1st, there are all the players I want to have at the club. And in and amongst these signings, there are some absolute bargains. So, shall we talk about some of them? So taking it from the top, the first of these youngsters coming in is Dale Knott, who is not a bad little player. Joining us from Celtic, I wanted to get in a little bit of squad depth at centre-back. If I am going to make that transition that we talked about previously to the 3-5-2, one area of concern for me is centre-back, because yes, we've got Damani Grimes, our captain, an absolutely superb player, and yes, we have got Hegarty in, of course, in on loan, but as soon as you drop back beyond those guys, and maybe even Ben Johnson, who can perhaps play at centre-back, the quality really isn't there. Jake Steele here, you can see, is just not particularly great. At 30 years old, the kind of player who I want to move on, really. And additionally, you can see here, Joaquim, a Spanish centre-back. I mean, no disrespect, he's an okay player, but his physicals don't really shine. There's lots of little things with him. He's never going to start for me in the Championship, and he's never going to have a spot in the squad if we end up in the Premier League. And so, as a result, Dale is joining us. You can see here the head-to-head comparison. Whilst Dale isn't perhaps a great player with the ball at his feet, and he is injury-prone, he's super consistent, he's 21, he's English, and the fee ultimately of less than £2 million is just an absolute bargain. So yeah, very, very happy to get him signed. A little bit of depth, maybe lacks a little in the mental department, but at 21 years old, loads of room for improvement. And well, we got in another young defender, although this man probably not going to play too much actually in the defence where his natural position is, because if we are going to go to the 3-5-2, we're going to need really good defensive wingers. And Gregor Regina, or Gregory Roger, as I've been affectionately calling him in my head, I think he ticks the boxes. He is absolutely superb. 18 years old, and he's a relatively young 18-year-old as well. His birthday was fairly recently. I mean, look how good he is, everyone. Insane technicals, great speed, physicals to boot. His mental's not too bad either. Teamwork, work rate, determination, all the factors you need for a player getting up and down the pitch. And, well, how much did he cost us? 3.6 million. That is perhaps the best bit of business we've done so far in Park to Prem. He is a Slovenian international, as you can see here as well, which is how I found him. Now that we're at Nottingham Forest and we've got money to spend, I can start to prod around all the big European nations and have a look at who their best young players are. And this guy just popped up on the radar, immediately scouted him, and he was signed within a week or two of uncovering him. Anyway, a slightly more familiar player we've got here is Kiana Hoover, who is joining us from Wolverhampton Wanderers. At 24 years old, he just represents great value for money. He has British personality, British nationality, everyone. So he's not going to take up a foreign player spot, of course, formerly a Liverpool youngster, moved to Wolves in real life. He's a super complete option. If we decide to play 4 at the back, he can be a possible right-back option, but truly, I'm looking at him as a exceptional wider defender in a back three. I feel like he's got the pace to boot. His aerial ability doesn't quite get called into the same question if you're playing in the wider areas of a free centre-back setup. And he's so good with the ball at his feet. I think this is just something that really suits him down to a T. At 24 years old, I don't feel like he's really found and hit his potential just yet. Maybe a little bit of room to improve, but at 4.4 million, he was transfer listed. He was one of the first signings we made. And I feel like actually between those 3 defenders, the pieces have started to fall into place for my master plan, so to say. Anyway, Nick Garcia was actually already kind of coming to the club before I joined, so I can't take credit for him. Good little player though. At 18 years old, he could be a really good centre mid. And while the last couple of players are actually 2 attackers, the first of which is Folarin Balogun, joining us from Sheffield United. In real life, this guy actually currently plays for Arsenal. I think his contract's expiring at the end of the year. There's been all kinds of talk as to whether or not he'll leave on a free. What I do know is, at 25 years old, he's got absolutely bags of pace, good attacking ability. I wasn't particularly blown away by our attacking options here at the club, of course. A 34-year-old Callum Wilson doesn't really feel like the long-term attacking option. And no disrespect to some of the other players here, but there were further players who I wasn't that kind of keen on. Nicholas Ngamelo is a prime example of that. He can play striker. Would I ever play him at striker? Probably not. And even less so, because we're selling him for 6 million that could go as high as 8 million, which I think is actually a really good bit of business there. But we'll talk more about that in just a second. But yes, Balogun here, really good striker, and not the only striker I'm currently looking at. I'm looking at Brewster as well, of course, in real life, a high-profile move to Sheffield United, which hasn't really worked out so well in real life. In this save game, though, at 26 years old, perfectionist personality, young English talent, don't have to worry about the foreign player rules or any of that jazz. It'd be safe to say that he's not had the craziest of careers, but he's played a lot of football for a player who is considered injury-prone. You can see here lots and lots of goals to his name at championship level. Certainly, he is long established. I will say he's not the cheapest of options at £12 million, but considering his value is 21 million and he's still only 26, he's a player entering his prime, and I do think he could be a really smart addition to the club. So those are the signings coming in the future. In terms of the players going out, well, we've already talked about Ngamelo. We've also got Fabio Carvalho, who I've been desperately trying to sell. I have discovered if he plays one more league game for us, we have to give Fulham £5 million. So with that in mind, I am not playing him anymore. I don't want to give them another £5 million because he is the highest earner at the club on £61,000 a week. We've had all kinds of teams interested. He's actually turned down Wolfsburg and another Chinese team already. There's a new Chinese team in Guangzhou, RNF, that have come in with £13 million. It's slightly less than I would like to sell him for, but knowing that he could cost us another £5 million if he plays a game, he's a player who doesn't really have a future at the club. And, well, as for Radonjic, he's just a player who was not happy at the club. He was crying, he was complaining, he's overpaid. I'm not a big fan of him. So to just get rid of him as quickly as possible made sense for all parties involved. Anyway, he's still at the club right now, and in fact, due to a few injury issues, he actually finds himself on the bench, which perhaps gives you a little bit of an idea of the lack of strength in depth in this team. Don't get me wrong, there's some really good players in certain spots. I think midfield-wise, we're absolutely superb. But when it comes to the reserve team, there's lots of these players in the 30s, Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, Ngamelo, Radonjic. We're going to need to replace these players because they're not my kind of players. And it's not because they're old either, it's just that they're massively, massively overpaid. They're players who have gone in as experience for a Premier League club. We're not a Premier League club anymore. They're not good enough to start for us. It doesn't really make any sense for them to be here. Anyway, I want to talk about my favourite player so far here at Nottingham Forest, Samake. Of course, he got 4 goals against Lincoln City. I've given him a face, everyone. Yes, that's when it's serious kind of commitment from me to this guy. I have gone out, I have created my own little face pack just to have his face included. And I'll tell you what, at 22 years old, he's looked very, very good. His goal scoring form, to be fair, hasn't quite matched how it started, as we'll come on to shortly. He's looked superb. But another man who I'm becoming very quickly fond of, and I did update his face as well, is Alex Maiton, who's another American player. So with Balogun coming in, we could have 2 Americans leading the line here at the club. But Alex has done a really great job. I've played him in a lot of positions. I'd be a bit annoyed if I was him. He's played out on the left. He's played striker for us. He actually played really well as a striker in our last game, playing the 3-5-2 that I talked about last time out. You'll also notice here, I didn't think we had a left mid option, but I am seriously considering Adrian Smith coming in at left mid. Last episode, there was a Scottish guy I showed you. I decided I didn't really like him, so we've not gone for him. But I do wonder if Adrian Smith could be the man to play out on the left wing for us, in the 3-5-2. As a defensive winger, yes, defensively his marking and positioning could be a little bit better, but for a role that, requires such a unique set of skills, he remarkably ticks off a lot of the boxes. And at 20 years old, left-footed, I mean, please talk me out of it if you think I'm absolutely crazy. But with his finishing and his passing and his vision where they're at, I don't ever really see myself playing him at centre attacking mid. And I just think he's a pretty unique player who would just work for the role. I'm going to be honest, tell me if I'm an idiot, but Adrian Smith, you might be a defensive left winger and you just don't know it yet. Anyway, shall we talk about the game since you were last here? For the majority of these, I've stuck with the 4-2-3-1 that we played at Lincoln when we first started there. Of course, that was what we played last time, although for the Millwall game, we did mix things up. And while speaking of these results, following on from the Lincoln game, we stuffed another team who were promoted to the Championship last year. A 4-2 win against Wimbledon. Bit disappointing to concede 2 perhaps, but you can see here Samake with 2, Myton with a goal, Matty Longstaff also getting in on the action. Unfortunately, the next game, slightly different. Yeah, I wondered after scoring 10 goals in the first 2 games if that was, problem solved. The goals hadn't been flowing here at Nottingham Forest. It was the big issue for them that was causing them to lose form. And, we did score early in this game. Alex Myton got us off to a flyer after a minute. I wondered if that was us in cruise control. Was it going to be 3 wins in 3? No, it wasn't. Portsmouth ripped us apart, showed that we're not really a cohesive unit just yet. It was actually a pretty close game, and at home you would expect us to beat Portsmouth. And it definitely hit me for 6 a little. I worried that maybe the earlier 2 results, against Lincoln, against AFC Wimbledon, maybe they'd been a false dawn, because obviously they are 2 of the weaker teams in the league. And this was just kind of humiliating. But the good news is it was more a blip than anything else, because since then we've gone unbeaten in the last 5 games, the first of which was against Rotherham. We won this game 2-1, but it was very, very convincing. Much like the previous game, Alex Myton, the American, getting in on the score sheet early. He is absolutely loving these early goals. He scored for us in the 2nd minute, and before half-time, Wilson Samake to the rescue, made it 2-0. And, it was pretty comfortable all the way until the 91st minute. Michael Byron scored for them, and, with that, it finished 2-1. A win, a critical win, and not the only one that was to follow, because, you can see here against Fulham, we beat them 1-0. Jordan Hackett getting the goal in this game, the left-back. A good little result, to be fair. He did give away a penalty in the very last minute, but we saved it. So credit to Marek Rodak. I don't feel like he'll get the credit he deserves in terms of the average ratings. He saved a penalty in that Fulham game to save us. He is an absolutely insane goalkeeper for this level. One of the players who I'm very, very keen to keep hold of, and that save there only really cemented that. Anyway, against Blackburn, we beat them 3-1. Adrian Smith, Samake and Callum Wilson with the goals for us all coming in the first half. The next game against Bristol City to start December was a drab one. Jordan Hackett sent off in this game after 48 minutes. He has been a bit of a defensive liability, giving away penalties, getting sent off in this one, but I was pretty happy when we were able to hold on for the entirety of the second half for a 0-0 draw. And as I mentioned, most recently we took on Millwall. Great result in this one, and what was really good to see is we were able to mix things up. As part of the ongoing experimentation, I played the 3-5-2 in this one. I wanted to see how it would work. Chris Willis got us off to the perfect little start after 5 minutes. Of course, you may remember him as a player who was on loan at Lincoln with us last year and was a pretty frequent starter at the right attacking mid position. In this game here, he was playing centre attacking mid. We grabbed another goal via Adrian Smith in the 49th minute to make it 2-0. And in a not dissimilar fashion, I suppose, to the game against Rotherham, we allowed them to get back into it. In this game, Millwall, through Kevin Jones, got a goal in the 68th minute, but we held on for the win. And with that, it finished 2-1. So in terms of today's match, as you can see here, we are going to be taking on Middlesbrough. They are up in 4th, only a few points away from the automatic promotion spots. For us, well, we're down in 9th on 33 points, but we're only 6 points away from the playoffs, and this game marks the halfway point, and I feel like we've not had some tricky games in there. We've already beaten the likes of Fulham, but actually this game against Middlesbrough should be a proper, real test for us. Now, you know what? I'd love to play the experimental system, but I feel like for this kind of game, we have to go in with what we know. Of course, we've got Rodak in goal, Hegarty and Grimes at the back, Hackett and Johnson at left back and right back, Healy, who I'm still an absolutely kind of massive fan of. I love this guy as a deep line playmaker. He's got 2 assists in his last 5 games. He's starting, of course, for us. And up front, well, I mentioned this situation with Carvalho where if he plays again, I have to pay Fulham some money. Not doing that. So Willis, who of course was playing for us at Boston, starts out on the right wing. Let's see if he can do the business for us today. I will say, he never really shone as the inside forward in this exact system. Elsewhere, Myton on the left, Smith down the middle, and Samake up front. Look at him, he's got his little face. I feel happy that he's not just a silhouette anymore. You might be wondering, Jack, why has Hackett at left back been left with a silhouette? He's not earned a face yet, everyone. You have to earn the right to have your face added into My Football Manager. That's how it works. Anyway, this is away from home. This is going to be a tough little game. I'm hoping, though, we're going to come through it with flying colours. And, a win here could take us within touching distance of the playoff, dare I say. but it is going to be hard. Away from home against Middlesbrough, a team who, you know, they've been in the Premier League in recent years. They've always been in and amongst the playoffs. They are a good team in this Football Manager save. And compared to the Lincoln game last time out, I'm expecting a harder fought game here as they line up with their 4-4-2. You can see here a whole host of fixtures going on, including Lincoln v Sheffield Wednesday. I keep keeping an eye out for the Lincoln results every single game week to see how they get on. Anyway, we're halfway through the first half here. Nothing is happening, although they've got a chance actually here. Ronan hits it. That's a problem, isn't it? For a second, I was bamboozled by the fact a team in red had a highlight. But of course, we're wearing our blue strip today. Roddick, I've bigged you up there, mate, and I feel like you could have made a save. Not the perfect start to the game. Not the ideal start. 25 minutes gone, a goal down via a free kick. And while they're bringing the ball forward here, Dehaney down this kind of near side. Myton follows him all the way, but he's still able to get the ball into the box. And, well, it falls to Ben Brereton, and this could be a second defeat. This has caught me off guard. This was not how this game was meant to play out. You can see, to be fair to Middlesbrough, they have been the better team in this game thus far. Maybe a little fortune with the way the ball fell down to Brereton then. It was deflected to him. But 10 goals for the season. Got another one for his scrapbook. And I'm thinking at half-time, if it stays like this, do I just go to the three at the back? I might want to. Are we about to get kind of an Uno reverse card played on us? We absolutely bamboozled Lincoln last game. Are we about to have a hiding in our direction? Well, not if Samake has anything to say about it. Perhaps could have squared it there, in all honesty, but he's tried to go on his own, and because he's my favourite, we're gonna let it slide, everyone. Ball whipped in, Ronan, Ramirez heads over. Ronan's set pieces are causing us all kinds of issues in this game. I'm gonna get shouty. Can we get a goal before half time? Surely. We've shouted at them. There's a 50% chance that when you shouty, a goal happens. Either way, at the break, I'm far from happy. And you know what? And I might live to regret this, everyone. I might live to regret this, but I am going to make this change now. We are going to change up this system right here, right now. Smith, go out onto the left. So he's going to play defensive winger. Myton is going to play actually as the striker alongside Samake. Myton is a really kind of well suited to the false nine role, so that's what we're going to do with him. I just need to remember the rest of the team now. Chris Willis. Do I want Chris Willis at right, defensive winger on the right? I think we have to. Hegarty needs to be a deep line playmaker. Longstaff there. Shuffling the team around. Shuffling the pack. And then Hackett is going to come off. I think for Galbraith. Galbraith is a weird player. I've not even talked about him, I don't think. He joined from, I think it was Manchester United on a free at the start of this season, the Forest. I don't know what to make of him. He's okay, but I just don't think he has the kind of quality that I'm looking for. He's the kind of player who would have been of real use to me at Lincoln, but as we look to go up a level here at, Nottingham Forest, I'm not sure he's of the same calibre, so to say. Anyway, we're singing in the rain, we're dancing in the rain, we're 2-0 down, and hopefully Middlesbrough aren't going to continue to bring the pain here as the ball's lumped forward. Myton is there, Samake in the middle to pick out. Can he find him? Yes, he can. It's beautiful football. My two favourites linking up in the final third. You might wonder that with the new striking additions of Balogun and also of potentially Ryan Brewster coming in, what would the plan be? Myton would play at centre attack in mid, and Samake, he's staying up front. He's earned his stripes. And 7 minutes into the second half, maybe the 3-5-2's the future, everyone. Maybe I need to start implementing it now ahead of January, where a few final missing pieces of the jigsaw start to come in. Anyway, you can see here statistically, this game has turned this half. These changes have worked thus far, but of course, with three at the back, you're always going to be tested a little bit, and we've always got to be a bit wary, hoping that, Damani Grimes is going to order the troops in the centre as they're bringing the ball down this far side. Dehaney inside to Ramirez. Huge tackle by Hegarty. It was a good tackle as well. Samake nods it down to Myton. Little give and go there. Samake, you've got to hold this up, mate. He's all on his lonesome. He's feeling a bit lonely. It's deflected out to Longstaff. Oh my word, I thought for a second Galbraith, who I've been saying is useless, was going to score. Unfortunately, the keeper parries it wide. But this is a spirited second half performance so far. We are, well, showing that we are up for this. Demand more from the lads. Come on, boys. 20 minutes left, and this second half performance, it's leaving me optimistic, which might be a dangerous thing. Hegarty is looking a bit tired. We'll bring in Jakob Sorensen for him. Jakob Sorensen, a centre-back who can play centre-mid and defensive mid. He's kind of that all-round centre-ball playing defensive mid kind of player. You know the kind. He's not a designated and outright deep-line playmaker, but more of a defensive option. I think with that in mind, I might even put him at ball-win midfielder on defend. Either way, this game, I feel like it's got another goal in it. I'm just wondering where the changes should be made. And you know what? I'm looking at my options on the bench and I hate them all. So sorry, Ryan Fraser. Sorry, Callum Wilson. I think we're better off keeping players who have played 80 minutes of a game on the pitch than playing you here. Anyway, Mighton with it. Back to Damani Grimes. Sorensen lumps it forward. Samake. Great touchdown. Can he finish it? Yes, he can. Wilson Samake. Remember the name. What a finish that was into the top corner. He smashed that home. Oh, I've enjoyed that. And Sorensen, we've just brought on. I mean, look at that. I said he's not your deep line playmaker type. He's the ball-playing centre-back who can also kind of play centre-mid. Maybe he is a deep line playmaker because that pass was absolutely top drawer here. Anyway, 5 minutes left. I don't really want to change anything. I'm going to just demand more. I've noticed that they've gone to a 4-2-4 here, which whilst that might leave us a little exposed with our defensive setup, we're going to win the midfield battle here. We are, I feel like, going to have more of possession and more of the play. I say all of this. Look at them streaming forward here. Options left and right. Brereton is there. He's already got one goal to his name. He pulls it back. It's blocked. It falls to Ronan. Rodak this time, though, gets the better of him. And with 4 minutes left, I'll take 2-2 here. I'll take 2-2 here. Away from home against a team fourth in the league, and to go to the unorthodox 3-5-2 and for it to work that well, I mean, I think we might be onto something beautiful. Maybe the space ball, maybe my real brand of football. It's not the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-4-2s that we've played over the last couple of seasons. Maybe the 3-5-2 is the future, everyone. Anyway, you can see here we've got a load of deals going on. Because Johnson has played a game for Dundee, he is now going to them. So excellent, we get some money. That was a loan deal that was agreed before I was at the club. But I'll be honest, Brennan Johnson, not very good. But Samake gets man of the match. Give him some praise, everyone. I want, wherever you are right now, stand up. Don't care if you're in your living room, you're in a classroom, you're in a Zoom call where you're meant to be studying away and listening to your teacher and you're just watching me. Just stand up and applaud this man. What an insane performance again today. He has been absolutely top drawer and he is getting the goals that we need to climb the league. And you know what? Away from home against Middlesbrough, a draw, whilst it does see us lose a little bit of ground on the likes of Brentford, it's a really, really, really good result. And, well, pretty happy with how the 3-5-2 performed as well. But anyway, that's going to wrap things up from me today. I know last episode I talked about coming back for the game against Derby, but that's only in a couple of games' time. I think what is more likely is we'll come back for the game against Aston Villa. They currently sit top of the league. They're top of the pile. They're going very strong. We'll be in the kind of middle of the January transfer window as well. I'm sure there'll be a whole host of faces coming in, because I've still got 52 million to spend, everyone, and the money's burning a hole in my pocket. Either way, this has been a slightly longer episode, so I hope you have enjoyed it. Wanted to get you up to date with all the transfers, get you a little more familiar with the team. Pretty epic live com as well to go with this episode. So if you have enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. And that is going to be all from me today. It is me, Jack, and I will see you guys next time. I'm out.